Good evening, owner-operators in the inshore fleet. I initially planned a podcast today on northern shrimp because the price is out today. The price-setting panel went with the Association of Seafood Producers offer of $1.08 a pound average for shrimp landed at the plant. Then there was news from around the province that processors are not buying lobster this week for the Urner Barry price of $14.37 a pound, a record high for opening week, by the way. Is that retaliation for the inshore fleet not fishing snow crab for the panel price of $2.20? Good question, and I'll leave that hanging. So now we have a situation where Newfoundland and Labrador's three largest commercial fisheries, snow crab, also the largest snow crab fishery in the world, northern shrimp and lobster, with a combined landed value last year of $987 million, the better part of $1 billion, all three fisheries are dead in the water. Processors either won't buy or most fishermen, not all, won't fish for the prices that have been set. If that doesn't tell you the system of fish pricing in this province is desperate for reform, desperate for change, I don't know what will. The purpose of the provincial government's final offer selection of fish pricing is to get commercial fisheries up and running, to get boats on the water, to get rubber boots on the floor of processing plants around the province, to make sure the commercial fisheries run smoothly, without interruption. And for the second year in a row, the final offer selection of fish pricing has failed to do that. It's not working. Clearly, it's not working. Last year, there were delays in the shrimp and sea cucumber fisheries. The East Coast capelin fishery didn't even go ahead. There were also issues with processors not paying the panel set price for crab. In response, the Andrew Furey administration ordered a review of the final offer selection system of fish pricing. A review that did not include a single public meeting with fishermen, by the way. So what came of that review? A couple of tweaks, including a second price reconsideration, but pretty much status quo, steady as she goes. With the exception of CNL, all hands, and that includes the FFAW, they were all good with minor tinkering of the final offer selection model. Then what happened this year? We're back in the same boat as 2022 with the government system of fish pricing failing to get commercial fisheries off the ground. Last year's review of the price setting model obviously did not fix what was broken. So now it's back to the drawing board. At least the FFAW has finally admitted the system is broken. Too bad they didn't do that last year. Let's start with news on lobster. Companies around the province are refusing to buy lobster for $14.37 a pound. Now that price was calculated using the agreed to Urner Barry pricing formula. Again, is that retaliation for fishermen not fishing snow crab for the panel set price of $2.20? The question is certainly being raised around the province this evening. As for the $14.37 a pound that processors won't pay for lobster, keep in mind that earlier this month, the price setting panel, for the second year in a row, called for a review because processors may be holding lobster in tanks and selling them for higher prices in the fall. That raises the question whether the inshore fleet is getting a fair market share, because it certainly doesn't seem so. Moving on to the spring price of northern shrimp. Earlier today, the fish price setting panel went with the ASP offer of an average price of $1.08 a pound for spring shrimp. The panel went with $1.08 over the FFAW's extreme price. Now that's what the panel called it, extreme, of $1.58 a pound landed at the wharf. So that's a 50 cent a pound difference, $1.08 versus $1.58. In its written decision, the panel said unanimously, which included Earl McCurdy, former president of the FFAW, that the union's position did not reflect a reasonable price. The panel said neither the ASP or the FFAW brought forward allegations of bargaining in bad faith, but even mentioning bargaining in bad faith leads you to question whether there was bargaining in bad faith. The shrimp fishery is a perfect example of all that's wrong with the final offer selection of fish pricing in this province. Processors wouldn't buy northern shrimp last year for the spring price of $1.42 a pound. Then the inshore fleet wouldn't fish for the summer price of 90 cents a pound. Then a mediator was brought in and the fishery went ahead at $1.20 a pound. According to the panel, the ASP offer of $1.08 a pound, this year's spring price, will result in a harvester share of around 50% of the resource, while the FFAW offer of $1.58 a pound would result in harvesters reaping 77% of the resource. The panel, including McCurdy, called that unreasonable. What's for certain is that final offer selection of fish pricing in this province is not working. The review last summer of the system was an absolute joke. Fishermen weren't even consulted, and the province needs to start from scratch with another, broader review. The consultant who reviewed final offer selection last summer rejected CNL's idea of an electronic auction pilot project and didn't even entertain the suggestion of outside buyers, which apparently fell outside the review's mandate. But if there's one thing that should be clear, it's that that mandate should be expanded. And that's the word today on fish pricing.